Hello and welcome to You So You. My name's Zoe and this is my channel of all the crafty bits and pieces that I get up to. This is one of my short videos on spindle spinning, so the basics, and I actually have a different sort of spindle to show you today, one that I haven't shown you so far. So far I've been using drop spindles, so stay tuned and let's get started. So welcome back to any returning viewers, and to any new viewers, you are more than welcome here. This time around for our spindle spinning series, we're looking at a different sort of spindle. So far we've looked at drop spindles and we've looked at using a top well spindle because that's what I predominantly spin on. But I was actually lucky enough to receive a gift in the post all the way from Seattle from my friend Verena, who asked me if I'd ever tried using a Turkish spindle, which I hadn't, and she said she happened to have one that she wasn't using and would I like it? Silly question, of course I would. So she sent over a spindle for me to try out. Now the Turkish spindle is a very different design to your standard drop spindle. It actually comes in 3 pieces. So we have a shaft and then we have 2 cross pieces. So they've both got holes through and one has a slot through as well. So to put your Turkish spindle together, you take the thinner piece of the crossbar and you insert it in the slot in the thicker piece of the crossbar. If I keep looking over to the left, by the way, or my left, it's because that's where my laptop is, so that I can see what I'm showing you. Once you've got your crossbars together, you need to make sure that your hole is lined up, and then you insert your shaft, the narrow bit upwards, through the holes in the middle of the crossbars to put your spindle together, and there we have our spindle. And it's going to spin much like a bottom well spindle. This one has a shaped tip with a notch on it to help you secure your yarn. Now with my other spindles, my top well drop spindles, I don't use a leader yarn. Bottom well spindles, you kind of do need to use some form of leader when you're spinning, but you don't need to use ready spun yarn to create your leader. You can create it out of your fibre, so I'm going to show you how to do that in just a moment. But let's talk about the fibre that we're spinning up first. I have already spun up 50 grams into a little turtle. This is the little creature of gorgeousness that comes off the bottom of a Turkish spindle. It means that it is ready to be plied. It's a centre pull ball, although you can obviously pull from the outside as well, which is probably what I will do, just to make sure that nothing sort of gets tangled and caught on itself. So when I will probably apply from the outside, but I'm going to end up with 2 of these to ply together. So that's 50 grams, and I'm using my cat and sparrow fibre. So this is the band that came on the braid, the Cat and Sparrow UK. She does have a presence on Etsy, but she also has her own website as well. The fibre is Dark Sansa, that's the name of the colourway. It's 50% Shetland, 33% Corriedale and 17% Mulberry silk. It came in a braid, so this is what I have left from the first 50 grams that I spun up, so that's about 50 grams here. I braided it back up to keep it neat and tidy. So I'm just going to split this fibre up into smaller sections, just like I did for the drop spindles. So I'm going to open up my braid. Make sure I get the right end of it. Although it's not a massive issue if I get the wrong end, I just go to the other one. So there we go, it's always satisfying. The braid is basically a crochet chain. Well, it is a crochet chain. So you can just pull it open. There we go. So this fibre is beautiful. It's got predominantly blue in the fibre form, with some sort of rusty colour, and this bright yellow, which I believe is the silk, coming through it as well. So I would expect the blue to be the Shetland, as that is the dominant colour and the dominant fibre. and the rust to be the corridor. I'm just going to break this down into shorter lengths. I'm not going to prepare all the fibre right now, I will do that a little bit later on. So I'm just going to get started and show you how we do it, and then I'll show you how we get the turtles off the spindle at the end. So these are slightly longer stapled fibres than the merino that you've seen me spin up already, which is fine. It means you can draft a longer amount before the fibre breaks. And I am literally just dividing it up. As you can see, it's not really matting together in the braid, which is lovely. It means the fibres will slide across each other nice and easily as we spin. I'm not worrying about splitting it up too precisely evenly into my little nests to spin, because I know I can compensate for variations in thick and thin at this point when I draft. It does come out a bit like hair, this fibre, which is absolutely beautiful. Just winding it up into little nests and popping them in my box so they're out of the way. I'll obviously do the rest, same with the rest of the fibre before spinning it up. Just getting a little bit done so that I can get started and show you what I do. I did notice when I spun up the first turtle that the rust and the blue kind of merged together to give the sort of almost brown, bluey purple colour. I don't know if it's got a proper name for it, but hey, I quite like it. Okay, so this is going to be the, I'm going to split that up again a bit more, I think. Actually, I need to have a narrow bit to start off with, because I need to make my leader. Use this bit for that, so I've got some more silk in it. Okay, so I'm going to put that all to one side, and I will carry on sorting out my fibre when I'm not filming, because you don't need to sit and watch me do all of that. So I'm going to take my spindle apart again, to put that to one side, and I'm going to stand up to show you how I start my leader off. I'm going to be using the fibre to create my leader. I could just draft and twist by hand, making sure I'm twisting in the correct direction, but that means I have to actually remember which is the correct direction when I'm spinning clockwise. So if I just stand up. So as I say, I could just twist the fibre between my fingers to make the leader. That would work. But what I'm going to do, so that I don't have to remember which way to spin it, so I'm just going to roll it up my leg. If I roll it upwards, I know that it's going in the same direction as the fibre is going to be going when I spin it on my spindle. So I'm going to make sure I've got plenty of twisting. I'm going to make it a little bit longer. Just draft a little bit out. So you see the twist is starting to go into the fibre. A bit better at that end. So I'm going to just roll that up on my fingers a little bit, and roll it up that way so that I've got the end, just to keep the twist in it. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the crossbars of my spindle together. Now, this is a weird angle, I know, for filming, but it was easier so that you can see what I'm doing when the spindle goes down. So I'm going to be filming the actual spinning in a bit, so I want you to be able to see that, so it makes sense to be filming at a lower angle. So I'm not going to put my shaft in just yet. I've got my crossbars put together with the hole in the middle. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put my thigh spun yarn through that hole, and I'm going to use my little Stitch Saver Fixer crochet hook to help me do that. I'm going to put it up to the middle of the hole, grab the yarn and just pull it through the hole. I just find it easier that way. You can attach your leader to your spindle in a variety of ways. This is just the way that's working for me at the moment. I'm now going to put my shaft back up through the middle of my spindle. Oh, my holes have just shifted slightly out of alignment, so make sure they're lined up so that my shaft will go through, and make sure it's snugged up. Then I am going to spiral my little beginnings up the shaft and put a half hitch at the top around the notch. Okay, so to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my finger underneath the yarn, put my shaft behind the working fibre through the hole, and then it's on there. So I will show you that again. The benefit of the half hitch is it's going to come off nice and easily when you're ready to wind your yarn on. So just push the top off. Okay, so put my finger underneath the yarn and lift it up. Take my shaft, put it over the top of the yarn that's coming from my hand, not the one that's coming from the shaft. Tuck it under and just pop that loop over the top of my spindle. Then I'm ready to spin. So just like with the drop spindle, we are spinning clockwise, so I'm going to be moving my thumb towards me as I am spinning my shaft with my right hand. If I was spinning my shaft with my left hand, I'd be moving my thumb away from me. If I was holding it this way around, it would be reversed. If I hold my shaft this way, I'm moving the thumb away from me. So just whichever way is more comfortable for you. I found doing it this way is working for me at the moment. Occasionally I will do it this way, so I'll show you both ways. So holding it down the shaft and moving the thumb towards me. So I spin and I draft. I spin and I draft. And oops, I've drafted a bit too thin. Not a massive issue. Take my fibre out of the way. You obviously need to watch your fibre management. I am using a slightly longer length of fibre than I've shown you in other times. You need to make sure that's out of the way. So spin. So it's all kind of like a flick, really. So that's spinning it, holding it on the shaft itself rather than on the tip. And once I've spun a length, I'm just going to push that half hitch off the end, unspiral it. Then I'm going to start wrapping the yarn around the crossbar. So I'm going to go under one, over two, 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 under one, and I'm going to stop there because I need a length of the yarn left. I'm going to put that behind my shaft and I'm going to spin to rotate my shaft in the other direction. I've found that when I wrap the spiral around the shaft in the same direction I'm spinning, it comes unspiraled for some reason, and it doesn't do it so much when I do it this way around. Don't know why. Doesn't seem to make much logical sense to me, but hey. So there's my half hitch going back on the top, and this time I'm going to flick it from the tip of the spindle. So this time, because I am using my right hand to spin the spindle, I am going to be moving my thumb away from me. So flick and draft, flick and draft, flick and draft, flick and draft, and so on and so forth. Oops, I've caught my fibre again. So flick and draft. And again, I'm going to just push the half hitch off the tip of my spindle, unspiral the yarn, make sure that I'm wrapping in the same direction all the time, over two, under one, over two, under one, two, under one, two, under one, over two, under one, over two, under one, over two, to one, two, under one, two, under one, and then spiral up the shaft, put the half hitch in the top, and away we go. Now this spindle is a 27-gram spindle and it is made out of wood, and I'm finding it's spinning really, really nicely, so it means I can actually draft for longer when I'm spinning. So I can actually stand up and draft on this one without too much hassle, and it's taken me a while to get to that point with the Topwell spindles, but most of my Topwell spindles are a bit heavier than this, which may be why. So I can actually spin for quite a long time before I need to stop and wind on the yarn to the shaft. Once I get going and there's a little bit more yarn on the turtle, it will also spin for quite a long time. As there's more weight on the spindle from the yarn, it will spin for longer because the weight will carry it around and keep the motion going. But as you see, I can get some quite long lengths of yarn without too much hassle before I need to wind it up. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you as part of this how to get to grips with the Turkish spindle video is not specifically related to Turkish spindles per se. It's more related to spinning in general. Now, as you might be aware, I already have a wooden wraps per inch tool where I wrap the yarn around, count the wraps, and then work out what weight of yarn I've got. My friend Patricia, I was paired up with her through my online knit night for a mini swap, so she sent me over some wonderful yarn, which I'll show you in my next roundup video, and some tea, and some Guatemalan sweeties, but she also sent me a little spinning gadget, which is this one. This is a wraps per inch tool. So you see it's got the inch cut out here and on the other side for you to do the wraps around, but it's also got these markings on it. They're actually indented into the plastic, so this was 3D printed from somewhere near Seattle, I don't know where, and it's got numbers down it. So with this, as you are spinning, you can lie your yarn over and into the groove. You see I've got about 20, it's lying on the 28 line there, so that tells me that this is about a lace weight. Single, I should probably end up with a light fingering to fingering, depending on how much puff happens in when I soak the skein after it's spun. Once I've 2-plied it, I would have thought from that, because 14 to 16 wraps per inch is roughly a fingering weight. So 28 wraps per inch on a single, once it's 2-plied, that's going to be about 14. It's a little bit of maths there for your morning. Okay, so I'm going to carry on spinning this fibre up, and then I will come back and I will show you how to take the turtle, because when we wrap at the bottom of a Turkish spindle, it gets called a turtle. It's basically a centerpole ball. Although I will probably ply from the outside, just because I don't want things getting tangled up and broken and lost in the middle. But yes, I'll come back and show you once I've got a bit more yarn on. So once you've finished making your turtle on your Turkish spindle, you need to take the little ball off the spindle. Now you might think this might be a bit tricky with all the bits of extra wood sticking out, but actually it's fairly simple thanks to the design of the spindle itself. So all we do is we take the stick out the middle, a little turtle with legs, then we take the smaller bit of wood that goes through the middle and we take that out, and then we take the bigger bit of wood and we take that out of the middle. So there we have our little turtle all ready to ply with another one. So that's about 50 grams of single there. So I hope you found this video useful when you're getting to grips with a Turkish spindle. I hope you enjoy spinning on your Turkish spindle. I'm certainly enjoying spinning on mine, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.